Hello and welcome to everybody tuning in today on YouTube. This is the RedLine Solutions webinar, and today we will be talking about implementing SAP Enterprise Mobility Apps at 63% lower TCO. We're very pleased to have Rob Norby and Dean Jackson from our sponsor Zebra Technology, as well as Martin Beringer and Steve Hoffman from Neptune Software. So the agenda this morning, we'll have a quick overview of RedLine Solutions. The Zebra team will go through the excellent rugged mobility offering and why Neptune is an ideal partner for you in the SAP space. And then Neptune team will take you through their systems and how they can significantly benefit your development teams and your users alike. So first, a little bit about RedLine Solutions. We're established in 1997. We have our headquarters in Santa Clara, California. We're a leading system integrator with extensive knowledge in barcode, voice, vision, RFID, data capture, and identification systems. We work closely with our clients to develop the most suitable, cost-effective solutions for their needs, and we have a variety of support options to keep those systems running. We specialize in warehouse management, inventory control, asset tracking, healthcare, product labeling systems, and WMS and ERP mobility deployment. We have solutions implemented in accounts across the US and Canada, and we work with many types of customers from Fortune 500 to startups. Though we do partner with a number of companies, we're very proud to be a Zebra Premier Business Partner and a partner of Neptune Software. So enough about us, and I will pass you over to Rob.
While we're waiting for that, thank you everyone for joining. Want to also thank RedLine for putting this webinar on. As Adrian mentioned, they are a premier solution partner for us. So that means that they're really a go-to resource for us in California and nationally for mobile computing, printing, and integration with applications like SAP. So we're pleased to do this webinar with a very valued partner. And so I think today it would be good, before we get into the use of SAP and Neptune and kind of how to implement and utilize and leverage those tools, I think it's good to set the stage and talk about some of the mobile devices that we have that we really are going to be talking about leveraging these applications on. So I think it's good to kind of provide that context of the devices that we see these things used on, and then we can kind of kick it to Dean, and he'll talk a little bit more granular about SAP, and then we'll kick it to the Neptune team. So I think it's good to start just as a reminder. Not everybody kind of is aware of the fact that about 2 years ago, Zebra merged with Motorola Solutions. So what you have here is really a complete end-to-end suite of product offerings, with the exception of wireless LAN. That's a kind of an older slide, but for the most part, everything on here is absolutely correct in the fact that when you bring together two market leaders in the barcoding and data capture industry, you create a full solution. So that makes it a lot easier for purchasing and IT companies to work with one company, one chain of support, one throat to choke type mentality. And again, you're bringing together two innovators when you talk about the product offerings that were combined. It's also good to note that innovation is really in our DNA. That's where most of our investment goes into, is product development. So I don't think it's a coincidence that we are always the first to come out with a new type of product, and I'm going to get into a couple of those products, but it's based on our strategy as how do we go to market, and it's really, we value development, we value research, and we value feedback from the customer base that we work with, that we're honored to work with. So let's give a high overview real quick. This is obviously, I'm going to drill down into a few different devices where we see SAP used quite frequently in the warehousing and manufacturing and transportation logistics space. But I think it's good to provide an overview just to show the breadth of product that Zebra has these days in the mobile computing space. You name the flavor, we have it, right? Whether it's field service, whether it's mobility, whether it's back of store, front of store, retail facing, whether it's logistics, out in the field or in the warehouse, we really break down the device that you should be using based on the application that you're going to be using it in. And that's a clear differentiator between us and some of our competitors, where they have a lot of our competitors have a one-size-fits-all type device for a vertical. We don't look at it that way, and I think this slide really kind of shows that. that it comes down to how are you going to be using it and who's going to be using it. And that's kind of where we will drill deeper into some of the products that I'm going to talk about. But we have a few new offerings. I'm going to touch on real quick. We do have vehicle mounts. I'm not going to talk about those units that much, but it's good to note that, again, no matter how you want to use a device and where you want to use it, Zebra's going to have a solution for you. So that leads me to our brand new product, the TC8000, which came out in April, right around April. And so this is really our shining star of our product this year. This is something that the market really has never seen. And the major difference between this product and the traditional gun form factor is that this is truly an ergonomic device, right? We have stats out there that show that it's 14% more efficient when using this in a warehouse or logistics environment. And that really comes down to the time involved when using a traditional brick on a stick. I'm sure you guys have all heard that methodology, that the scan engine is on the back of that brick, and to scan you have to point, and then to see what's scanned and to validate the barcode, you then have to tilt that device back. If you guys have used, anyone out there has used some of our older Motorola gear, in the 9190, the 9200, which is our new one, and also Honeywell devices, Datalogic devices, those devices are very heavy. This is about 50% lighter. It's a touch screen. So as the workforce continues to get younger in the distribution and warehousing space, everyone's very familiar with the touchscreen type mentality. On top of that, this is Android. We are seeing a very strong push towards Android based on the development features that it has, and also that it's future-proof. As Windows tries to kind of figure out where they're going in a mobility space, Android has this locked down. And so this is our first Android exclusive device. And you know, along with the ergonomic nature and the time savings from not having to point and click and being able to scan and verify at the same time, it's also the latest and greatest device that we have. It's faster, it's bigger, it's stronger, and it's capable of running any type of mobile application that you need. Obviously, we're talking about SAP here. We have a lot of customer instances and examples of SAP being used on the TC8000, even with this product being new. So this has created quite a wave, and it really comes down to what your users require in a device. But don't let the size and the ergonomic nature of the device fool you. It's just as rugged as any of our devices that we've come out with in the past. It's an IP65 rating, so it has about an 8-foot drop spec on it. It just doesn't look as rugged. So it's aesthetically pleasing. It's a lot lighter on the hand and the wrist, a lot easier to integrate into existing applications. And it also has the ability, some of the features that come standard on the device, it has the ability to port old green screen applications. So if you're running an older application on an older gun and you go, gosh, we can't go to a new device because we can't convert our application, there's a feature on this device called all-touch terminal emulation. And it is essentially kind of a drag and drop where you're creating the function keys, you know, F1, F2, you highlight the important buttons on the device that you've been using in a legacy application, and you highlight that, and you create a very similar application that's a lot more futuristic looking. It's built for a touchscreen. So overall, this device has the ability to retrofit, but it future-proofs you moving forward. I also want to take a moment to talk about our traditional unit. So I talked about the TC8000, how it's a lot more efficient than the MT9200. That's not to take anything away from our traditional unit. Sometimes warehouse environments, sometimes warehouse workers really prefer the traditional keyboard where you get to kind of exactly see what you're pushing and typing. It is a larger screen than the TC8000, so it really kind of comes down to what the user and what the people that are actually going to be implementing these devices prefer. There's also more flexibility on the operating system within this device, so if you do have Windows in your environment, you have no desire to change to Android, you do get flexibility there as well. We're going to be coming out with the 9200 with Windows 10 here probably later next year. So we are evolving this unit with the way that Windows is evolving as well, but it also is available on Android. So just a quick kind of highlight of the features of the 9200, and again, this is the newest line in the classic MC line that Motorola came out with, symbol the Motorola Zebra. So this is the replacement for the 9190. Which was the replacement for the 9090. So I'm sure that there's users out there that have Motorola 9090s, Motorola 9190s. This would be the direct replacement. It is a plug and play. It's a drop right into the application. So that's a value add of this device as well, is if you don't want to spend a lot of time integrating a new device and maybe porting a new application, you really just want to get new hardware because your old hardware is breaking and it's out of service and the contracts are expired, et cetera, whatever the reason may be, this device has the ability to just plop right into the existing application. So overall, what's the benefit of using a mobile device in the warehouse? Well, you're increasing data capture throughput with best-in-class scanning performance. So that is a huge value when it comes to Zebra devices, is our scan engine performance. It is very, very important, as we know, in the warehouse to be able to read accurately the barcodes on a consistent basis and to not have chargebacks and a lot of different issues that come with not being able to capture that data. You're not going to have that when you implement a Zebra mobile device, especially the MC9200. It allows you to streamline the task management. It also offers superior reliability in the toughest environment. So you name an environment, a 9200 has succeeded. And this is, again, our traditional mobile computing unit. So on to the next type of product that we're really excited about. So the WT6000, this is our traditional wearable unit. This replaced the WT4000 unit, and with that comes a new scanner, a ring scanner. I don't have a slide on this, but this is sleeker, faster, stronger type product as well. It comes with a new processor. You can get this in Windows or Android now. That wasn't available on the WT4000 unit, so you do get a lot more flexibility when it comes to operating systems. And the major benefit on going wearable is obviously a hands-free type of environment. So if you have workers in the warehouse, the manufacturing floor, the logistics floor that are using their hands to do the pick, put away type workflow, but they still need access to data and be able to capture that data and manipulate it within their mobile application, this would be a perfect product for them. So we do see SAP used on these units as well. It's not as frequent as the 9200 and the TC8000, but it definitely is an option. And again, this also comes with all of our devices come with push-to-talk feature, but we do see the push-to-talk, the walkie-talkie feature, if you will, used more on this device than you see on the traditional mobile computing devices. So it's a lot lighter on the wrist. The old wearable unit was a little bit cumbersome. We got that kind of feedback from our customers. So this offers a more ergonomic process while still giving you a hands-free approach to warehouse technology. The TC70, this is, we are refreshing the TC70. We're calling it the TC70X because there's lots of different flavors and configurations. But the major upgrade on this device is the Windows 10 capability. So the Windows 10 IoT mobile, Windows did release a new mobile application, and they're calling it Internet of Things, IoT Windows Mobile, and it's built for devices like this. So along with Android, it is going to be Windows capable, and it is the new Windows application. So if like I said, if you have an environment where you just can't migrate over from Windows, we do have features, we do have an option for you there. On top of the TC70X coming out with a refreshed operating system mentality, we're also, I don't have a slide on this, but we're also going to be coming out with the TC51, which would be the direct replacement for the MC40. It looks very similar to the product you're looking up on the screen. It's just not as rugged, and it's more affordably priced. It also comes with a cellular option as well. The TC70 isn't commonly used in that regard, where the TC51/56 will have the option to work with Verizon, AT&T, or Sprint, I believe, as carriers in the instance where you're outside the four walls and you need data. So we're excited about that. You're going to start to see information on that here really early in 2017. But again, if you need a more rugged unit that has a higher drop spec and is a little bit more sturdy for any type of environment, the TC70 would fit your needs. And that brings me to our tablet offering. So people don't always realize that Zebra makes a tablet. This is a newer development in our product offering, but we definitely see a huge value in this, and we've seen a lot of demand in this product as users want to go to that tablet mentality. Again, I mentioned with the TC8000, a big value add for that product is that the workforce is getting younger. That also accommodates to tablets, right? Everyone's used to using iPads and Windows tablets. This is our step into that pond, but this device is built for enterprise and really is disrupting the consumer-grade tablet market a bit, especially in the last few months. So this is built to run an enterprise application like SAP. It has the ruggedness and the drop spec to be in a warehouse floor. And it also has a true scan engine. When you're using consumer devices, people tend to forget that that's a camera that you're using to scan barcodes with. That's not the case with this unit. So it does come with a backpack, if you will, and it has a scan engine, and with that comes a hand swivel, so you can put that in your hand, use it efficiently. It has the scan gun, scan button on the side of that swivel, and you get reliable scans every time while still having the usability of a tablet, which, again, as we see the workforce get younger, the desire to use tablets definitely grows, and this is our step into that pond. So I want to take a moment to talk about two features that come in all of our devices that really kind of go hand in hand when you're talking about leveraging other mobile applications, whether it's SAP and then in conjunction with Neptune. We have a feature that comes on all of our mobile devices called Stage Now. And what that allows you to do is once you configure one device, you then link that to a barcode, and all you'd have to do with, if you have 50 devices, you'd configure one device, and then with the other 49, you scan that barcode that links to a configuration on a server or a workstation or wherever that information is residing. All you'd have to do is scan that barcode and that configuration, and that goes for the application implementation and the way that it's designed to work, will then implement right away on that device. And you don't have to sit there and configure 50 individual devices. This allows you to configure one and then mirror that in a rather efficient process. So this cuts down the time of integration a whole lot, and we see this used almost every single time by our mobile device customers. And then the other thing that I want to take a mention as we build into the discussion around SAP and Neptune use is that especially when you are working off of data, when you're using a cellular plan on these devices, warehouse workers, anybody is tempted to go on Facebook, play Pokemon, whatever you can do on the internet there. The enterprise home screen allows you to lock down and make available only the applications that you want your workers to have access to. So if you want them to have access to email, you can open the access to email. If you don't want them to have access to email as an instance, you can lock that down and just keep them available to an SAP instance or any type of other application. So this allows true control from an IT perspective on what their users can do and see on these devices. It also allows for error-proof type usage, right? So if you don't want your users to get into one aspect of the application because that would just cloud up the workflow, but you want them to get in another aspect, whether it's the purchase order process or the ship process or the whatever it is, you can restrict down to that granular of a nature, or you can just keep applications open and close the internet, for Facebook and those kind of things. So this allows you to have complete control over what's going on and going through your devices. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dean.
I'm here. Thanks.
Okay.
Rob, there you go. You can hear me. Great. Thank you.
Yep, we can. Thank you, Dean.
Fantastic. Hi, everyone. Now, I just did the math, and Zebra has been an SAP partner for 28 years, and that's a long time. We have integrated, I remember the first agreement that we had signed with SAP was to integrate ZPL with the SAP kernel, and SAP shipped ZPL with their software so that an SAP customer can actually plug a printer in, go into the smartphone, design a label, and print. So we've been doing this with SAP for a long time now, right? And what we'd like to do here is provide you with the guidance as it relates to mobility, right? As you start to define your future mobility strategy, and as Microsoft end of life all their old mobile devices and move to newer devices, and you look at the industry that's going from Windows embedded to Android or Windows embedded to Windows 10, we'd like to be there and advise you on that. So one of the things that I hear from customers is, consumer-grade devices versus purpose-built devices, right? Why should an organization purchase a Zebra mobile device over a consumer-grade device with a sled and accessories and attachment, et cetera, et cetera? So think about your need for durability in your environment. Think about what the devices are designed for, right? They're purpose-built devices for various usage, right? So It's built to withstand multiple bumps and drops, typically in your back office, on your factory floor, on your shop floor. Consider, battery swappable and independently rechargeable type batteries, right? And think of battery life as well. Better Wi-Fi roaming algorithms, and then the different types of form factors that you see. Rob showed you a couple of different devices, right? There are different types of form factors based on the specific task and your actual workflow, as well as the hardware life cycle, right? If you look at a consumer-based device, they're recycled every 6 months to a year. If you look at a Zebra hardened device, you're looking at 3 to 5 years, 5 to 7 years, right? So you need that longevity as well. So we know the device store. We can provide you with content and reasons why a hardened, purpose-built device is better than a consumer device. But why we partner with Neptune, right? Because one of the things with a solution is that we're providing you with a hardened device, but we also need to provide you with that connectivity with SAP. So Neptune is a Zebra ISV partner, and they actually provide the ability to create a fully encrypted application that protects enterprise and customers' data, right? It's manageable, it's configurable, and you can control it from without user intervention, right? It functions on our durable devices to withstand that typical abuse in the DC in the back office on the factory floor. So Neptune empowers ABAP developers to really leverage the SAP source code to develop mobile applications, and then they provide additional mobile applications on top of that. It minimizes that need for integration, and it fits into your existing SAP setup. An additional plus for Neptune and SAP is that it has a feature that allows on and offline capability on Zebra devices. The solution is certified by SAP, right? It's using SAP standard. It's also validated by Zebra to work on Zebra's Android and Windows devices. And what certification means is that the total solution was vetted by Zebra and was also vetted by SAP, using both SAP's and Zebra's benchmark standards, right? It does what it says it would do architecturally, and the UI is great for a day in the life of a typical user, right? So a lot of people just love using it because of the actual workflow and its design. What about device management? A lot of folks that go into device selection and they look at, your consumer-based device and your hardened devices and look at software and certification, they typically leave out, device management, not intentionally, but they typically do. So when you think of device management, also when you think of a solution, overall solution for SAP, also think about, are you enabling IT to adequately manage and administer your device portfolio as you go through that deployment? Have you considered secondary issues like device theft or downtime or your spare pool, etc.? So it's all about providing you with the right guidance so that we can collaborate. And as you align with SAP and align with Neptune and with Zebra to define that future mobility strategy, we want to be there to help you. We value our relationship with SAP as we do with our partner like RedLine and Neptune, and we want to continue to provide you with the guidance going forward. But with that said, I'd like to pass it on to Martin Berenger to walk us through the Neptune solution. Martin?
Yeah, thank you, Dean. If you could make me presenter, there we go. And can everybody see my screen?
Yes, yes, perfect.
All right. Well, thank you very much for having us here today. Thank you to Zebra and for RedLine for putting this on. Really appreciate it. The presenters here from the Neptune entity, our team is myself. I'm Martin Berenger, I'm the CEO of North America, and I also have Steve Hoffman with me. He is the EVP of the channel, and he will introduce you to Neptune, the company, and then we'll kind of pass the ball back and forth as we talk about the platform and the more technical items. Steve?
Thank you very much, Martin, and good afternoon, everyone. This is Steve Hoffman. What I'd like to do today is give you an overview of Neptune software, our organization, and some of the key benefits associated with our total enterprise solution. For those of you that don't know about us, Neptune software was originally founded in 2011. The world headquarters is located in Oslo, Norway. Our U.S. headquarters is North American Canadian headquarters is located in Florida. And what we deliver, as Dean has mentioned and Martin has mentioned and Rob has mentioned, is that we deliver the complete UX or user experience across multiple platforms, whether it be desktop, tablet, or handheld mobile devices. We're an SAP certified partner. We're a Zebra validated partner and certified partner. We're also a partner today with RedLine Solutions, a phenomenal organization as well. And next slide, please. Our organization, just so you get an idea of the size and scope of our sales organization and what we've done, is that we currently have customers located in 31 different countries, over 211 different companies that have invested in our technology and the platform. And remember, as I said before, Neptune is a platform. It's not a single application. It's a platform that provides you with the ability to make multiple applications. We have over 110 template applications that we provide to our licensed user on a no-charge basis, and we continue to add to that base of templates. Those are for all the SAP transactions. 95% of our business is done through partners. We sell our solutions and they implement those solutions, and they're all around the globe, such as Zebra working together with RedLine. One of the things we're the proudest about is that recently, for a company of our age, we just licensed our 1 millionth licensed user. That's something to say. I've been in technology for over 30 years, the mobility side of the house, from the hardware days to the software and firmware and platform days of today. So those numbers sometimes have never been achieved by other organizations. We focus in on making sure that we have a total enterprise solution, and you do that by working together and aggregating the various solutions that are out in the marketplace, from the design, hardened, or purpose-built devices at Zebra, working together with partners such as RedLine to be able to implement those solutions. Many of you might not know some of the specifics associated with Neptune software about why. What's the competitive advantage? Why would you like to use our software platform? As Dean mentioned earlier, we can implement Fiori applications in a matter of days. There's approximately 2 million ABAPers that are out there in the world today. They've been utilized in a variety of capacities over the years. And recently, when SAP said that Fiori was going to be free, and they made the announcement at Sapphire approximately 3 years ago, a lot of customers were very excited about that, and they started to create their Fiori applications. They quickly recognized that there's a variety of resources that are required in order to develop those applications, and sometimes there's an excessive amount of time, energy, dollars, and resources required to create a Fiori application successfully. What Neptune has done is taken it down to its most simplest level. As Dean mentioned before, ABAP, that's really the core of the SAP backend, and the ABAPer is the only person that you need other than a basis person to load the software on. We're a named stack, we're a named instance for SAP. You just load us back into the on the SAP stack, and our operational. Martin will take you through more details associated with that later in the presentation. But what does this mean to you as a potential user of the solutions that we're talking about today, the combined solution? Your development time is typically reduced by 80%. You'd say that's probably very dramatic. That feedback is from our partners and end user customers that say they've been able to develop their applications 80% faster. Well, if you're developing your applications 80% faster, there has to be a reduction in the total cost, and that number has been provided to us on average of 63% reduction in total cost of ownership. One of the key areas that a lot of customers today, because there might not be RF coverage in a particular area, they may have dead zones, you may have applications that require you to go out to different facilities and not always be connected to a back-end software package. Neptune out of the box has offline capabilities for very complex solutions I'm going to talk to you about a couple of user cases in a little later on that will talk about customers that are offline 85% of the time, and they reconcile at some point in the day when they get back online. Another key aspect of the Neptune solution is we're backwards and forwards compatible and future-proof. What does that mean? If you're an SAP shop and you're running everything from NetWeaver 7.x all the way up to S4HANA, our solution goes in your back end and it's compatible forwards and backwards. And that's a very significant point today when you're thinking about the resources required for upgrading, putting in maintenance and patches and all those good things. What you don't want to disrupt is the user experience. You want them on that Zebra device, knowing the application, running that application, and being confident and not really caring what back end it's running on. So, that's really key when it comes down to the Neptune solution. Another aspect is when you have mobile users is locking tables. We have stateful and stateless locking. I won't go into any technical details associated with that, but that's a significant element of our solution. Another is that as Neptune is loaded onto the stack in the SAP backend, you use existing roles and authorizations. So that means the IT team doesn't have to rebuild all those roles and authorizations for all the mobile users that are out there. They just use what's already been there. Some companies have indicated that that cost can be 35 to 40% of a new application development effort because they have to rebuild those authorizations. One of the keys is that we have a low-code drag-and-drop development environment. Martin's going to show you that in the demo, but let me give you a high level what that means. Is you're building menus and you're putting in fields and you're tagging those fields that they'll be tied together and the data will be relevant and put in the right place in the back end of your SAP applications. What we do is we make it look very easy and very simple for the user, and behind the scenes we're creating all the appropriate ABAP, we're creating all the appropriate messaging that's needed, and Martin will show you examples of that as we go through the development of an application. Our mobile apps can take advantage, as many people have mentioned so far, of the capabilities in the devices. Everything from the scanner that Rob had talked about, the purpose-built scanner, you can take advantage of a camera, you can do GPS, you can do notifications as well. It's very important that everybody understands that the key here is that when you deal with a Zebra device, that it's a purpose-built device and that it really is a lot more durable, and it is very powerful in the sense of battery storage and usage and the way in which it operates and its ergonomic nature. So it's many considerations when you're looking at a complete solution. And now I'd like to turn it over to Martin, and you'll talk.
Thank you, Steve. Let's have an overview of the platform, what comes out of the box with the Neptune UX platform. So that is one ABAP add-on, one Saint installation. You could actually go to our website right now and download that, install it on any non-productive system without having to worry about licensing. So you could actually test drive it on your own. But let's go ahead and see what's actually included in the platform. So it's a complete standalone solution. We do integrate with SAP, but we are completely standalone when it comes to the development lifecycle and deployment lifecycle of the Fiori application. So this starts on the left with the development side. So we have the Neptune Application Designer, which is a 4-column drag-and-drop IDE. So essentially you have your library of objects, of UI5 objects, and you drag and drop those into an HTML5 document, and then you bind those elements directly to the ABAP application class. And that right there eliminates a whole bunch of architecture that is usually needed, like the gateway server and OData with the SAP architecture. So in our case, we use the existing Internet Communication Framework that's already been out there for a long time. It's well proven out to get the data from the back end to the front end. The application store is, as Steve mentioned already, we have over 100 template applications in there that cover the entire business suite, so I'll show you some of those later. And of course that gives you a significant head start, so anywhere from 80 to 90% head start if it's a customized back-end. If you have a completely standardized back-end system, they'll be plug and play out of the box. So Neptune Application Management, now this is where a lot of the magic happens. So Steve mentioned that we can leverage existing roles and authorizations. And this is where we do it. So we create policies that are based on existing roles and authorizations, and we restrict access or visibility to any Fiori tile the same way your basis team is currently used to doing it inside of SAP. So you could literally have one blanket application for the entire organization, and based on roles and authorizations, the users will either see all of those tiles or only one of those tiles. So very straightforward in that case. The monitor is where you can see the analytics of the performance of the applications and the user adoption. And of course, the Launchpad is self-explanatory. That is where we deploy our applications. A nice thing is that they're completely interchangeable, so if customers already have made the investment in Fiori and are using Neptune for the difficult part, the customization and the offline part, then of course you can run the Neptune-powered Fiori apps in the SAP Fiori Launchpad, or you can run the SAP Fiori apps in our Launchpad. And the end user really will never notice a difference because it is in fact just Fiori and nobody knows how it's powered. And then the catalog is how we deploy the applications to your workforce. So you could also use an MDM to do the same thing, but this is what's used standard out of the box. Now we are collaborative with SAP. So we're not out here to compete against SAP because there is different tools for different kinds of audiences. SAP has front-end developer-focused web IDE, and if you are a front-end web developer, you are perfectly comfortable with using that tool. If you're an op-opper, you're not. That's why Neptune is out there. And then, of course, we also plug some of the holes like the offline capability, and the performance end of it. So, but that being said, we have to integrate with what SAP has out there if we're going to be collaborative. So the SAP Enterprise Portal, for example, for a single sign-on, we can export our applications to the SAP Web IDE and register to the Fiori Launchpad there. We integrate with the mobile platform and HANA Cloud Platform straight forward, right out of the box. So let's talk a little bit about the joint value proposition here between Neptune and Zebra devices. Okay, and the thing is that a lot of companies are still on SAP console or on ITS mobile. So you can see the RF menu there, and they have worked well for a very long time, but some of this technology is already end of life or is soon going to be end of life, and it's time to start planning ahead. So, and of course there's also a lot of value in the new UX when it comes to business process improvement. So it's time to revolutionize the UX and go from the older devices to the new devices with the new UX powered by Neptune. And this is what that looks like on those devices. So you can see obviously that the user experience is quite a bit smoother. There's much less fields involved here because we populate a lot of those fields just by using user parameters, for example. We utilize things like geolocation and GPS to automatically populate fields and do error reduction. Your device knows where you're at. It knows what plant you're at. There's no sense in having to enter that by hand. So these are all things that can be leveraged. Now, we've heard about the TC8000 earlier, but I think that's a very important joint value proposition. That is, the TC8000, of course, will get you the 14% improvement in efficiency simply because of the ergonomic design, the fact that you don't have to constantly tilt your hand to scan and then raise it back up to look at the screen. So that is seemingly little, but it makes a huge difference. So with Neptune, you're going to throw the software component on top of that. And native scanning is one of those, for example. And native scanning is when you basically just point and shoot at a barcode without first tapping into a field, but the software knows what you're scanning and is going to populate the field automatically. You'll see this later in the apps that I'm demoing. And that right there is a drastic reduction in time. Also, the user interface is very simple. Only several steps involved and just a couple of button presses in order to do a transaction. So we're trying to get as much of it done for the end user as possible so we can increase the pick efficiency. So let's talk about performance just a little bit, because there's this misconception out there that anything that looks nice and rich would have to be slow. And that is simply not the case if you do it right. In our case, we do a lot of smart caching to where the UI5 library is cached locally on a device, so you don't have to refresh it every single time you change a screen. The data model that we use between JSON-H and compression results in a 95% reduction of data volume. And that, of course, leads to a lightning-fast sync process, which means you can keep data offline, not occupy a lot of space. And during the delta syncs, when you're synchronizing the changes, it's only little data volume traveling from point A to point B. That is very important for performance. So we've talked about offline capabilities. So dead zones and Wi-Fi coverage no longer mean that you have a bad day. You have to go back home now and put your device back in a dock and start over. You can just keep doing your job and then synchronize back later when you get the network connectivity back. Here's a recent business case from an actual customer we have closed, and that was only 6 weeks ago. And this was entirely based on gaining wrench time. So these are maintenance mechanics out in the production floor that at the end of the day had to go to the maintenance shop and spend 30 minutes entering information from the day into a system. And the system was not very user-friendly. So this was based on, let's eliminate that, have them do this throughout the day, and actually gain 30 minutes of wrench time. And if you start calculating all this out based on number of people, work days per year, labor burden rate, you can see what the savings come to, and paper savings on top of that when you have to print every work order. So it is not just another pretty UX. There is real money, real value in doing this. So Steve, let's go ahead and speed through that, because otherwise we're going to be tight on space here.
Yeah. All right. Well, the key part here is that a lot of potential partners of yours or vendors that you might select have done a lot of work in different verticals. We've worked in a variety of verticals. To give you perspective, Johnson & Johnson, Semper Energy, Air Products, University of Nebraska, Intuit Surgical, Fresh Direct, Amcor, Takeda, and Aptar Group. Martin, you can go to the next slide. I wanted to talk about a couple of case studies that we have that I think will be very valuable to you. First of all, both of these case studies, the users are offline 80 to 85% of their workday. Luxottica is a company that does the delivery of prescription eyewear to retailers, and so they get their load in the morning and then they go and do their work. They have 30,000 Neptune users. They're managing 50,000 SKUs. They're in 35 different countries, and they're managing a high volume of data. A lot of folks wonder how much data can you put on these devices, and as Zebra has done a great job of designing in a lot of memory. For example, here's 500 megabytes of product images are maintained offline. The initial sync only takes 20 seconds, and they have multiple parallels going on at the same time. The key here is that the Neptune platform was selected because of our agility and ability to integrate to multiple SAP applications. Next slide, please. If you talk about Vodafone, some of you may know who they are. They're the multinational communications company. They take care of a lot of the cell phone towers around the world. They're the 5th largest instance of SAP implemented in the world. They have over 140,000 Neptune users that touch 47 different applications inside of their back end, and the listing is shown there below. Martin, if you'd like to go to the next slide.
Yeah. So this is just a quick segue into the demo part. The applications were built by MyGo Consulting. So this is a scenario where Zebra, of course, manufactures the devices, RedLine resells the devices, MyGo Consulting builds the applications, and Neptune is the software platform everything runs on. And rather than talking about what's going to happen, let's just go ahead and do it so you can see what it looks like. But just keep your eyes out for native scanning and how quick it is to do that, and just the UX in general. And you should be able to see my TC8000 now in Reflector, correct?
Correct.
All right. So here we have a tile that I just built yesterday. You know, behind that we have an application that holds 4 applications that are, you know, traditionally used for warehouse management environments. So once again, applications built by MyGo Consulting. The way we authenticate with the backend system is through a PIN code that then encrypts the username and password, and this prevents the end user from constantly having to log in with a cumbersome long username and password, which is just going to lead to them being locked out of the system later because it's just not easy to do from a small screen device. So this really helps. If there's a fingerprint sensor, we can also work with that. So these are the applications we will work with today. So we'll start with a production pick. And the important thing here is that everything that you see is backwards compatible and future-proof. So this right here could be built on a system as old as R3 4.7, and you can take it with you all the way to S4HANA. So that is, you're never going to lose that investment. So let's click into the production pick. And then the way this works is you simply scan and decide, okay, do we do a guided pick or a manual pick? In this case, we'll go with a guided pick. And then it's going to pull up everything that we need to pick. And so basically the components, the required quantities, the pick quantity and the storage locations, and then the only step left after getting the required items is to hit save, and we are done. So if I went and tried to actually pick this order again, it will say no components exist for this order because we have just completed that pick process. So just think about the amount of time that took me to do that. So the majority of the time should be doing the physical work, not transacting on it. So this is a huge difference. So let's do a pick for delivery. So this would be for a sales and distribution process where we're picking for a shipment essentially. Same here. So we have a whole list here of transfer orders. Simply scanning one of these will immediately pull me through to the transfer order. And then all I have to do is pick and confirm, and we are done. We can either close it or we can take a look right now at the transfer order and see exactly where did it come from, what's the source, what's the destination, and we are finished. So once again, very easy and straightforward. This should not be hard to do. We have even integrated some reporting capabilities right into this device where you could take a look. Let me get some barcodes here. So you can scan a product, for example, and then the next thing you would do is scan the plant that you're in, and you can get an immediate report as to what is currently, as far as that material is concerned, inside the plant and in the storage locations. And you can go to an LS26 and then even check out the entire warehouse altogether and see what do we have in the warehouse. So this is typically the kind of stuff where you would have to go to a terminal somewhere to run this kind of a report. And here it is right on your device. You can go, you can get, you can pick it. And this is where the efficiency really comes into play. So we're not going to do a demo of the application building process. This was more of a device and solution focused demo today. But of course, if you want to see us build an application and do a complete platform demo, RedLine will put you in touch with us. We'll set up a demo one-on-one in a meeting, and we'll show you the entire platform. So this being said, Steve, would you like to talk about the Quick Start program?
Absolutely. So Neptune software recognizes that in the business world today that you want to be able to go out and you want to be able to show a concept, do a proof of concept. We offer a Quick Start program, which is a very simple program. It has a very low price point, intentionally under $10,000. That allows the company to have one runtime system, 10 mobile users, select an application out of the 110 that we already have created, 15 hours of consulting, and typically within 30 days a proof of concept can be done completely, and make sure that your success criteria have been met, and then it can move into a rollout and so on. But something that's uncharacteristic and not being done in the industry today too often is that it has a no-risk money-back guarantee. And what that means is if you go through this process and you implement this as in a proof of concept and it doesn't work to your liking, then we'll write you the check back for $9,950. This is the ability to come in with a solution that's tied together with the right mobile devices from Zebra, with the right integrator from RedLine, and to take the right application and see the full solution integrated in your environment and to be able to test it out, and it's amazing. If you wanted to, you can also download the solution from our website, test it out, and not put it into a production environment. Martin, back to you.
Good deal. So we mentioned earlier that we have an entire platform here. So if we sell you one solution, of course, the licensing for that will cover you for everything else the platform has to offer. So you might buy a few warehouse management transactions to begin with, but then you have an entire SAP Business Suite to grow into, that is already here waiting for you. So this is all value for the future. So I'll turn it back over to RedLine.
Thank you, Martin. So if you're an SAP user and you're looking to get the most out of your operational and mobility strategy, get in touch with RedLine Solutions today. Our contact details at the bottom of the page, and we look forward to hearing from you. Again, thank you to Rob, Dean, Martin and Steve for some great presentations, and we hope to see you soon at another RedLine webinar. Have a great day.